Liberal Democrat spokesperson, Caroline Voaden.
Thank you, Ms Lewell. It is a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship, and I would like to congratulate the member for Hertford and Stortford for securing this important debate. He spoke passionately about the subject, and while I have no doubt that his personal recollections of education are more recent than my own, I have not long ago lived through the trauma of summer exam season vicariously through both my daughters, and I have to say I'm really glad it's behind us now. The effect of exams on the mental health of our children and young people is clear, and the member eloquently laid out this problem. And he also showed that other respectable education systems have found a way to minimise exam time. It is possible to do this, and it is incumbent on us to look at doing so now. Education is about so much more than the grades a child receives. It is about empowering every child to become the absolute best they can be, ensuring that they leave school equipped with the life skills, confidence and resilience they need to lead happy, healthy and successful lives, whatever path they choose. It's about so much more than teaching to the test. It should be about opening minds and lighting a spark, as the Honourable Member for Montgomeryshire and Glendur so passionately said. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And as the Honourable Member for Warrington South said, social and emotional development is also vitally important as academic achievement. At the heart of all this is making sure that school is enjoyable. Most of us remember that one teacher who inspired us, who turned the light on and sparked a love of something, the one thing you didn't mind getting up for in the morning. I saw a perfect example of this during a recent visit to Stokenham Primary School in my constituency. They have a forest school behind the actual school buildings where children learn through exploring their natural environment in a wonderful wooded area, beautifully demonstrating the importance of learning beyond the classroom and the creative ways that we can bring education alive. And it is truly the highlight of the week for all the kids. But that might also be music or drama, art or sport, textiles, food tech, woodwork. A holistic approach to education is vital, because it nurtures social and creative skills that are just as important as the core subjects like English and maths. But if a narrow approach to the curriculum is pursued, then enriching experiences such as these risk being pushed to the bottom of the pile. Lessons that foster interpersonal, creative and emotional skills have their place alongside traditional subjects that are measured in exams. Indeed, music has been shown to improve performance in maths, helping children to recognise patterns and sequences, improving memory and recall, as I'm sure the member of Mid Derbyshire would agree. Of course, standardised testing does remain important. Exams play a vital role in maintaining high educational standards and provide a clear, objective measure of achievement. As the Sutton Trust highlights, anonymous, externally marked exams help level the playing field for pupils from economically disadvantaged backgrounds. They act as a crucial equaliser for students who may not have support at home with coursework and are less susceptible to the biases that can arise in teacher assessments or oral exams. But we heard passionately from the members for East Hampshire and York Central and other members that SATs at 11 should not be included in this standardised testing. However, as the government's interim report recognises, the current one-size-fits-all approach is letting some students down. This is from the age of 11, pupils start sitting exams and their experience is clear. The system puts enormous pressure on our young people, on their mental health, and we must take the opportunity we have to think about how we assess their ability. This is clearly demonstrated by the surge in pupils resitting GCSE English and Maths. This year, just under 400,000 students resat these subjects, accounting for 23% of all GCSE entries. The current system, which pushes young people to resit these assessments very quickly after their first attempt, is flawed. Over 16s are increasingly caught in a cycle of repeated resits, with the number of 18-year-olds resitting these subjects rising from last year by nearly 20%. And these students risk falling into a dispiriting cycle, feeling like they failed because they can't pass the exam and then being forced to redo it again and again. Understandably, this has a detrimental impact on their mental health, with repeated resits and a rigid assessment system contributing to heightened anxiety and stress. Alongside increasing support for these pupils to try and get through their English and Maths, we must look at the viability of an alternative functional assessment that better fits ability, and we must also reconsider how certain other subjects are assessed in the first place. Every child will want to pursue their own path, and in certain subjects, such as those that are creative, technical and vocational, exams may not be the right solution. Our assessment system must reflect this diversity and recognise the many ways in which children can best demonstrate their learning. And as the honourable members for York Central and Stratford-on-Avon said, we all learn differently, so why assess in just one way? We also need to be mindful that 1 in every 5 students have special educational needs. As the government's interim report notes, the assessment system needs to be more inclusive, and this inclusivity must extend to those with higher levels of SEND, as highlighted by both the honourable members for Hitchin and Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole. Currently, only 24% of children with SEND meet the expected standard in reading, writing and maths, compared to 62% of children nationally. This imbalance is unacceptable, and we must work hard to ensure that it is rectified. Children with SEND deserve the same opportunities to succeed as their peers, and the assessment system must reflect their specific needs, enabling them to progress and thrive in their education, rather than being weighed down by exams that fail to accommodate their abilities. We must be creative in finding other ways to assess ability. The Honourable Member for Yeovil, who has done valuable work on education for pupils with neurodivergence, spoke passionately about this, and I commend him for his work on this subject. We also need to think outside the box when it comes to subjects such as music, drama, art and sports. These subjects develop crucial creative and emotional skills. I think I've already said this, yet they're not always best assessed through exams. But they are the subjects that bring joy to education and transform schools into places where children are genuinely excited to learn. And as the parent of a daughter who now works as a professional costume maker, I have seen the joy and passion that a creative career choice can bring. And given the love that people have for films, it is no less valid than a career in law, medicine, finance, or dare I even say it, politics. Yet all too often, these subjects are being squeezed out of our timetables due to budget cuts, teacher shortages and curriculums that often get narrowed prematurely as schools are forced to focus on assessment. This is unfair, disproportionately affecting pupils from poorer backgrounds who wouldn't otherwise have access to extracurricular activities to make up for these gaps. And as a rural MP, I would like to just say that this problem is exacerbated in rural constituencies where students may not be able to attend after-school clubs if their only way to get home is on the 3:30 school bus. Limited or costly transport options should never be a barrier to creativity and involvement in sports. So we must protect, not diminish these subjects and ensure that every learner has the chance to excel in whatever path they choose. The Liberal Democrats want children to be able to thrive in a system that allows them to play to their strengths and supports them in their weaknesses. A system that empowers children, where school is a joyful place, which encourages children to follow their passions and get excited about their future. The government's interim report says the system is broadly working well and that exams can be an effective way to assess progress. But it is really clear that a one-size-fits-all approach does not work for every pathway, which is why the Liberal Democrats are calling for an assessment system that reflects the diversity of young people's needs, especially for those with special educational needs. Holistic teaching and creative subjects have their rightful place in our curriculum, and pupils' choices should not be narrowed too early to focus solely on examined subjects. Children deserve an exam system that offers choice and equips them with the skills they need, no matter which path they choose to follow. We must find a more balanced approach to assessment, a way to truly assess the gifts and talents all young people have, because they all do. A system that makes them start feeling like a failure at 11 is just wrong. We owe it to our children to do better, and as the Honourable Member for Corby and East Northamptonshire said, to lift them up, not weigh them down. So I urge the Minister to take this opportunity to seriously consider broadening our curriculum, expanding the provision of extracurricular activities, and to develop an ambitious assessment system that ensures young people leave school equipped with the skills, the confidence and the opportunity to succeed.
Hear, hear. Opposition